Hi everybody. So I don't know if you know where I am. You might have heard that I was going to Memphis, Tennessee this week to visit a Christian brother that used to be our librarian at Mundelein Seminary. And so I'm at a pretty somber place right now. It's that memorial wreath that's behind me. You might recognize it's a historical motel. I would turn my camera so you can see the motel sign, which you might. I'll try it. I tried it before, and then it made the camera stop. But you can see see that there. I was just walking around downtown Memphis, and I knew this was around somewhere, but I wasn't actually. It wasn't my destination. Just as I was walking, and I turned the corner, and I saw that sign, and I'm like, oh my gosh! It was like my heart skipped a jump. You know, I've seen it on TV so many times. So this is the place where on the early evening of April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed from a bullet that was from a little, they have that mark too, but it's kind of blocked by trees. I don't really want to show that anyway. Yeah. This is the National Civil Rights, what's it called? National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel. And it's open 6 days a week. I picked the day when it was closed to come by. I'll be here tomorrow as well, so I can check it out. But honestly, I prefer it quiet like this. So there's some event, I think they opened the doors. There are people in suits and stuff that went inside just a minute ago. But they have little kiosks outside that have videos about the assassination, about the civil rights struggle, and they were informative and educating. So I'd like to read some of King's words, and eventually, I won't probably talk real long today. I don't want to talk about, this and that too much while I'm here. One thing just to highlight, I guess, as far as parish life, Sunday we'll have a parish bike ride at noon, and then at 6 p.m. we'll have family softball night. Those have gone pretty well in the past, though some years it just depends who's interested and who's free. But we got word out to the RE students, and I hope the school community communicates that to them as well. I asked them to. And so 6 o'clock on Sunday, and we have a ball field in the big backyard behind church. So that's Sunday. We have a wedding Friday. Chris Brenner and Megan Desjardins will tie the knot, or God will tie the knot for them. So I'm looking forward to being back in time for that. So otherwise, I thank our great staff just for keeping things going so well. It doesn't seem they don't skip a beat when I'm gone, which is good. It's a good sign. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in terms of Martin Luther King, I always liked him. So my fourth birthday was 2 days after his assassination. So I wasn't, affected by his assassination, and while he lived, I wasn't affected by his life. I may have heard of him. It's hard to, memories when you're that young. But I always liked him as I grew, and I heard stories about him. I had a poster of him in my bedroom, a little kind of poster like that I got from my St. Anne's school when I was a fourth grader, like in 1974 or so 6 years after his death. It said, it was it wasn't a photo, it was like a nice drawing of him, and then underneath it said, "I have a dream." And we got to pick whatever little poster we wanted, and I thought that was the best one. I don't know why. I think I was just drawn to the idea that he was a good man, and when I would hear his voice or his speeches, he sounded like a great speaker, a powerful man, and he said things to me, thank God, that were obviously true, that we're all children of God, and it doesn't matter the skin color, that we're all should be treated with equal dignity and care. So I never had parents that suggested it was otherwise, and so I'm grateful for that, So yeah, and today I was at, before I came here, I definitely wanted to see this place, but I wasn't actually looking for it. I was I parked where it was free parking. I didn't know if it'd be crowded downtown or not. And there's a place called Renee's Sandwich Shop. And I thought, I'll just go there because the other places around Beale Street and downtown will be crowded. There's just a few people in there. So I had a cheesesteak sandwich and some fries. And it was good. It was just kind of a neat place. It was, in terms of Martin Luther King stuff, it's just racially diverse. I wasn't the only white guy there. There were just about 10 of us there. But there were all different, people, Middle Eastern, African American, with the Memphis Grizzlies shirts on. And I had my Bucks shirt on yesterday, but not today. Anyway, I was just kind of everybody, everybody needs to eat. And it was just a hospitable, fun place. Kind of a neighborhood place. Not a lot of tourists like myself. And the two cooks, there was again different ethnicities, and they were having a good time slinging hash and whatnot. And this one gal one of the cooks came around the counter and stood by me for a second. She goes, "Did you see that?" And I said, "What?" She said, "I'll change the language a little bit. I could see the bottom of his butt." One of the patrons came in with real low slung pants, and I didn't really notice the bottom of his butt, but she did. And I don't know. And then they had a good laugh, and I had a good laugh. And like, how do pants stay up if they're that low? Mine sure wouldn't. So anyway, it was just a nice 45 minutes in there. I hung out, and then I was actually going to this place that Elvis Presley. He's the second most important person from Memphis after Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King is not from Memphis, but associated with Memphis. And there's this booth where he'd often eat lunch. He'd come in and have a peanut butter banana sandwich, sometimes with bacon. And someone was already sitting there, so I didn't sit there. I sat at the counter, had a chocolate shake. So a real low-cal day for me so far. Philly cheesesteak, French fries, and a chocolate shake. But anyway, and there again too, I don't know, I just thought, this is everybody, just a very, very diverse city. And I was just enjoying that. And then I was I'm gonna walk up to Beale Street. I thought I'd see what's up there. I'm actually looking for a drugstore because I didn't bring any deodorant with me. So that's my next stop. But then I turned the corner and I saw that Lorraine Motel sign. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right here. I was planning maybe to come tomorrow because I knew that the Civil Rights Museum was closed today. And so it's just a half a block from where I was standing. So I walked over, and your heart just kind of stops. Excuse me, I was hoping I had some water with me, but. So I sit here, nuts, and there was a lot more activity before, but now it's kind of quieted down. I'm sorry, I wish I could. Gosh, excuse me. I'm not too adept at this video. I just hit go, and if it doesn't go well, I start it over. So I can't pause it. But I've already paused it 3 times, so I'm gonna just fight through this. So appreciate you putting up with that. So, Martin Luther King came to Memphis because there was a sanitation workers strike, and 2 men had been crushed in one of the machinery garbage truck, I guess. And there was a lot of union organizing, and the people refused the people with power refused to let them organize or grant any concessions or safety. And so King came down to bolster that movement and lend support. And he kind of knew that, I think he was getting toward the end of life. Why don't I just read, and just, I looked it up on Google. There's part of it on one of these kiosks, but one of his friends said, I never heard him talk about death so much as in the last couple days. You know, I think his life was being threatened. He was, his life was always in danger. Excuse me, my mind is just, I think I've been just kind of affected by being here. I'm a little bit unfocused, always in danger, but as he became more active in economic justice, as well as just, you know, we can drink out of the same drinking fountains, and, you know, moving to that, and so we started talking about more economy, like union organizing, that sort of thing. It just gets a lot more. Then you're starting to threaten people's pocketbooks and their power, and then you get more vociferous resistance, right? And then he also started speaking out against the Vietnam War. And so, you know, probably in the last year of his life, he was getting a lot more vocal with that. Like, we are spending so much on that, and we need to really help people come out of poverty here in the U.S. and work on making an underclass not an underclass. Anyway, so we got more controversial because it was, you know, economic issues. So he felt like he was gonna be killed. He seemed to know it. So in the speech, I'll read verbatim the end of the speech, which is so moving, which I was familiar with. But the speech the night before he was assassinated, he said some really interesting things. He said, you know, Pharaoh, when he wanted to keep the Hebrews in slavery, you know, his main way to do that was to keep them divided, kind of keep them fighting against each other. And because if they ever were really united, then they'd be too much to control. This is kind of interesting in terms of the analogy toward today and of course his time. He told a little anecdote about a girl. So when he was, after his first book, it must have been the late 50s, because he said it was before 1960. He wrote a book, and he had a book signing in New York City. And some mentally ill person came up to him and said, "Are you Martin Luther King?" And he said yes. And then he felt this stabbing. I'd never heard this before. So he was like stabbed in the chest several times by this woman in a bookstore in New York. And it didn't seem like it was a hate crime. It's just kind of a mentally ill person trying to kill I don't know. He didn't get into the... But it was so close to killing him. He said it was just like a quarter inch from his aorta, and if you hit that, then you're not probably going to live. So he was recovering in the hospital, and he got a letter from like a 14-year-old girl, because the New York Times had reported that story, and in the story it said that if King had sneezed when the blade was still in his body, because it was so close to the aorta, if he had sneezed, it would have killed him. And so this little girl writes, or not so little, middle school, and says, you know, "Dear Dr. King, you know, I'm a 14-year-old girl from White Plains, New York, and I like that," she said, "not that it should matter, but maybe you want to know that I'm a white girl. And I heard that, you know, you were stabbed, and that if you had sneezed, it would have killed you. And I just want to let you know I'm glad you didn't sneeze." You know, so he thought that was kind of a nice letter, a fun letter. And then he went on to say, you know, you can hear his voice here from that. So he's talking about social justice there, about just wage. So, and he said, "I'm glad," in that speech the night before today, he said, "Yeah, I'm glad I didn't sneeze either, because I saw so much progress. I wouldn't have seen this, I wouldn't have seen that, I wouldn't have seen the other thing." And then he started talking about the Good Samaritan parable, which was really, he did a really beautiful treatment in a way that I'd never heard it preached before. You know, the Good Samaritan, you know, the guy's lying sick at the end of the road, and two people pass, and then finally the Samaritan, the outsider, stops to help him. Well, he said that is different questions we can ask when we see someone in need. And he said what the first two that passed by asked was, what will happen to me if I help? I'll be late for where I'm going. I'll be ritually impure. I can't go to the temple. What will happen to me if I help? And he said, well, that's a legitimate question. But the more important question is, what will happen to him if I don't help? What will happen to him if I don't help? And he said, so, in terms of the sanitation workers that he was here to support, what will happen to them if we don't help? What will happen to us if we help? Maybe we'll get in trouble with something or somewhere or another. It'll cost us time and energy. But what will happen to them if we don't help? Isn't that beautiful? So then he gets to the end. I'll just kind of read this. I had this, but it's all the paper I had was like the back page of my of this book. So I'm trying to scribble all this stuff. I'll just read this. So he's given a long speech. I don't know how long, 20 minutes maybe. And then he says, well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it doesn't matter to me now because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. I'm so happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. Such a rich spirituality, rich Christian spirituality that gave him peace and happiness even on the eve of his death. He didn't know for sure, but it seemed like he knew it. It was not long. We could all learn from that. I think I'll just step aside and let you kind of look at this and maybe hear Martin Luther King's voice. So God bless us all. Let's all have the wisdom to see from the mountaintop, as Martin Luther King could see, as God gave him vision. Things that should be obvious truths to us, that we're all children of God, and we're all meant to live each other as children of God's family. Not so easy, and should be though. So may we have His courage, may we have His insight. May we support everybody who tries to help everybody. Peace to all of you. God bless you. Bye.